Right, Alice Springs hit 44 degrees yesterday while Melbourne barely scraped 18. That is a 26-degree difference across one country, and it's about to get even more dramatic. Is your area about to cop severe storms, a tropical low, or both in the next 72 hours? Currently, the Bureau of Meteorology has severe thunderstorm warnings active for parts of 3 states, affecting over 8 million people across the eastern seaboard. By the end of this forecast, you will know exactly when your specific location needs to be ready, what S coming, and why tomorrow S update is going to be crucial for your planning. Chuck your location in the comments right now, and I'll give you a personalised forecast in tomorrow S video. Let me break down the timing for our major centres. Sydney, storm activity ramping up Friday afternoon, heaviest between 6 and 9 p.m, but we could see multiple rounds through the night. Melbourne, your window is Friday night into Saturday morning, worst around 2 a.m, though the European model suggests earlier arrival. Brisbane and the Gold Coast, Thursday evening is your critical period, storms developing around 4 p.m. and continuing through to midnight. Perth, you're in the clear for this system, but your heat is building to something significant. We are talking low 40s by the weekend. Adelaide, Friday morning brings your change, arriving around 9 a.m. with gusty winds and a sharp temperature drop. Hobart, you'll see the tail end Saturday afternoon, nothing severe but decent rain. Darwin and the top end, there's a rapidly developing tropical low in the Arafura Sea we need to discuss in detail. And Canberra, you are right in the firing line Friday evening with potential for large hail. Now here's the thing about this setup that S got meteorologists watching closely. We've got 2 major systems converging, and the interaction between them is creating significant uncertainty in the models. Let me explain what is happening. There's a deep, low-pressure trough sitting over inland New South Wales and Queensland right now, and it's been drawing in moisture from the Coral Sea for the past 48 hours. Dew points are climbing into the low 20s, which is providing serious energy for storm development. At the same time, a strong cold front is approaching from the Southern Ocean, currently southwest of Tasmania, packing winds up to 90 kilometres per hour at sea level and even stronger at altitude. When these 2 systems meet, which is looking like Thursday night into Friday across the southeast, we are expecting explosive thunderstorm development. The combination of warm, moist air ahead of the trough and the strong forcing from the cold front creates a perfect environment for severe weather. The Bureau has already flagged the potential for large hail, possibly exceeding 5 centimetres in diameter, damaging winds exceeding 125 km an hour, and heavy rainfall that could dump 50 to 100 millimetres in just a few hours. For context, that's a month S worth of rain in one evening for some areas, and at S falling on already saturated ground in some locations. Let me work through the regional breakdown, and I want you to pay close attention because the timing varies significantly depending on where you are. Let me work through the regional breakdown and pay close attention because timing varies significantly depending on where you are. Starting with Queensland, Brisbane Thursday evening is your main event. Current models are showing storm initiation around the Darling Downs near Toowoomba between 2 and 3 p.m, then tracking northeast towards the coast. By the time these storms reach the Brisbane metro area, they will be well developed and potentially severe. The Sunshine Coast should see activity from 5 p.m. onwards, while the Gold Coast is looking at that 4 to 5 p.m. window. Townsville and Cairns in the far north, you are dealing with something completely different related to that tropical low, which I'll get to in a few minutes. Inland centres like Rockhampton and Gladstone are expecting isolated severe storms Thursday afternoon, though the main severe weather corridor stays further south. New South Wales gets complicated because you rewrite in the convergence zone. Sydney S western suburbs, particularly around Penrith, Richmond and the Blue Mountains, you're first in line Thursday late afternoon. The storms then track east, hitting the Sydney Basin, northern beaches and eastern suburbs by early evening. Newcastle and the Hunter Valley, you are looking at similar timing, maybe an hour later around 6 to 7 p.m. Down south, Wollongong and the Illawarra could cop the southern edge of this system Friday morning as it continues tracking southeast. Inland areas, Wagga Wagga, Dubbo, Orange and Bathurst, Thursday is your day, with severe storms possible from midday onwards. The elevated terrain around Orange and Bathurst could enhance storm intensity. Coffs Harbour and the mid-north coast, Thursday night into Friday morning is your window. When I say early evening for Sydney, I am talking 5 to 7 p.m. initially, but we could see multiple rounds with the second batch potentially more severe between 9 p.m. and midnight. That is the concerning window. Victoria S setup is different because you are on the back edge of this trough system. Melbourne, your storms develop later as the trough moves through. The latest access runs are showing Friday night somewhere between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. for peak activity. But here is where the model disagreement comes in, and it is significant. The European model has been consistently faster, bringing everything forward by about 6 hours. If ECMWF is right, Melbourne storms arrive Friday afternoon around 4 to 6 p.m. instead of overnight. This 6-hour difference is massive for planning purposes, especially if you've got outdoor events or activities scheduled. Geelong and the Surf Coast, same story, just add an hour either way, depending on the model. Ballarat and Bendigo, you are at elevation, so storm intensity could be greater with larger hail possible, potentially golf ball size. Shepparton and northeast Victoria, Friday afternoon looks active regardless of which model verifies. South Australia, Adelaide, your cold front passage Friday morning is fairly well locked in at this point. The question isn't if, it is how strong and exactly when. Ahead of the change, you're looking at northerly winds pushing temperatures into the mid-30s, possibly touching 40 in the northern suburbs and inland areas. Then the change hits, and this is where it gets dramatic. Temperatures drop 10 to 15 degrees in under an hour, sometimes even faster near the coast. Those northerlies swing southerly at 50 to 70 km per hour, with gusts potentially higher. It's the classic Adelaide cool change, and if you've experienced them before, you know how abrupt they can be. Mount Gambier in the southeast see this change first, early Friday morning around 6 a.m. Whyalla and Port Augusta up north, Friday afternoon around 2 to 3 p.m. Western Australia, Perth, you are in a completely different weather pattern right now. Your heat is building under a persistent high pressure ridge, and by the weekend we are forecasting 40 to 42 degrees for Saturday and Sunday. Some suburbs could push even higher, particularly inland areas east of the city. Bunbury and the southwest, slightly cooler at 38 to 40, but that's still significant heat for coastal areas. Geraldton, you are hitting 41 Saturday, possibly 42. This is serious heat, and with it comes extreme fire danger. Total fire bans are almost certain to be declared across most of the southwest. The Fremantle Dr. Seabreeze will provide some relief to coastal suburbs late afternoon, typically arriving between 2 and 4 p.m, but anywhere inland stays hot well into the evening. Kalgoorlie, you are looking at 43 Saturday, and that is genuinely dangerous heat, especially for anyone working outdoors or without air conditioning. Broome and the northwest coast, you are still in that transition phase between the dry and the wet. Temperatures sitting around 35 with humidity starting to climb, making it feel even hotter. Tasmania, Hobart, you get the tail end of this system Saturday. Nothing too severe expected for you, just some decent rain, around 20 to 30 millimetres, which is actually quite welcome after a relatively dry period. The cool change will drop maximums back to the high teens, feeling quite fresh after recent warmer weather. Launceston and northern Tasmania, similar story, maybe slightly less rain, probably 15 to 25 millimetres. Devonport and the northwest coast could see stronger winds Saturday afternoon as that front exits Bass Strait, gusts possibly reaching 60 to 70 km per hour. Canberra, you re-sandwiched right in the middle of this convergence zone. Friday afternoon and evening is your severe weather window, roughly between 4 and 9 p.m. Storms will be developing over the ranges to the west, particularly the Brindabellas, then moving across the city between 5 and 8 p.m. Large hail is a genuine possibility here, and with recent hailstorms still fresh in everyone's memory causing significant damage to cars and properties, this is one to take very seriously. Secure vehicles under cover if possible. Northern Territory, right, this is where things get really interesting and potentially more serious. Darwin and the top end, there is a tropical low rapidly developing in the Arafura Sea about 300 kilometres north of the Tiwi Islands. As of the latest satellite observations, it is still disorganised, but the structure is improving. Sea surface temperatures are sitting at 30 degrees, which is well above the threshold needed for cyclone development. Wind shear is low, which allows storms to organise vertically, and the monsoonal trough is active, providing that large-scale spin needed for development. If this system organises over the next 24 to 48 hours, we could be looking at our first tropical cyclone of the season. Currently at S-tracking west-southwest, which would bring it across the Tiwi Islands and potentially make landfall somewhere between Darwin and the Kimberley coast by Sunday or Monday. Alice Springs, you're well away from this, but your heat continues relentlessly. 43 Friday, 44 Saturday. Catherine, you are in the potential path depending on the track this system takes. If you haven't dropped your location in the comments yet, do it now, because tomorrow's forecast is going to have specific updates for your area based on overnight model runs. We're particularly interested in hearing from anyone in coastal Queensland, the Sydney metro area, and the top end. Let me talk about the models. Access G has been consistent showing Thursday night to Friday, but Access R indicates potentially stronger storms than the global model. The GFS is slower, pushing peak activity into Friday night and Saturday. ECMWF has been the outlier, faster and stronger. This spread tells us the system is still evolving. By tomorrow morning, after overnight runs, we should see better agreement. That's why checking back matters. Now, one thing not getting enough attention is fire danger ahead of these systems. Strong northwesterly winds pumping heat and dry air across inland New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia. Humidity dropping to single digits. Temperatures climbing to high 30s and low 40s. Even though rain is coming, it won't arrive until after critical fire weather days. The compounding factor is good winter rain promoted grass growth. That grass has dried out, creating fuel loading. If storms bring dry lightning before rain, we could see fire starts. Inland New South Wales and northern Victoria Thursday looks like extreme fire danger, potentially catastrophic. South Australia, similar Friday. Western Australia with those 40 plus temperatures, extreme to catastrophic across interior and wheat belt this weekend. Right rainfall totals for planning. Southeast Queensland, where storms train over same areas, 100 to 150 millimetres by Friday. Brisbane River catchment and Gold Coast hinterland are main flooding concerns. Northern New South Wales and Northern Rivers, 75 to 125 millimetres. Sydney and surrounds, 40 to 80 millimetres falling in short periods. Flash flooding the main risk. Victoria S totals lighter on the back edge. Melbourne, 20 to 40 millimetres, higher in the Dandenongs. Adelaide and Mount Lofty ranges, 15 to 30 millimetres with the front, useful rain. Perth and Western Australia, no meaningful rain next 7 days. That tropical low in the Arafura Sea is showing increased organisation, clear circulation centre with convection wrapping around, wind speeds 50 to 60 ks per hour, still below cyclone intensity of 63 ks. But intensification potential is there. If it becomes a cyclone, it be named Alfred. Track has most uncertainty, some models west into Kimberley, others southwest to top end. Darwin, be prepared for possible cyclone impacts Sunday or Monday. Coastal communities, Wyndham to Hoolanbai, monitor Bureau's tropical cyclone section closely. One unexpected possibility is Coffs Harbour and mid-north coast. You are positioned where inland trough and coastal moisture converge. Some models show training storms, multiple cells over same area. If that happens, rainfall could exceed 150 millimetres in 6 hours, enough for significant flash flooding. Wind situation Friday needs attention. Ahead of the front, northwesterlies gusting to 70 or 80 kAs across the Great Dividing Range. Behind it, southwest to southerly winds, similar strength. Canberra, Melbourne, Alpine regions could see tree damage and power outages. Secure outdoor furniture Thursday, weekend outlook beyond this system. Saturday, southeast clears from southwest, Adelaide and Melbourne improving. Sydney and Brisbane still some showers. Sunday, much of southeast looking better, partly cloudy. Perth, heat peaks. Darwin depends on tropical low track. Early next week, high pressure builds across southeast, bringing settled conditions, temperatures rebounding to mid to high 20s. There is uncertainty around Adelaide front timing Friday morning, anywhere from 6 a.m. to midday. That affects peak temperatures. Early arrival means 32 degrees, late means 38 or 39. Similarly, Melbourne SE storm timing Friday night could be early evening or after midnight. Check back tomorrow for firmer details. If there's one thing to remember, Thursday evening through Friday is your severe weather window for the southeast. Be weather aware. Charge phones, know where torches are, secure outdoor items, factor in travel delays. The compounding threats are extreme heat and fire danger ahead of rain, then rapid transition to severe storms. That S a lot for emergency services simultaneously. Plus the tropical low development up north means stretched resources. Bureau warnings will likely upgrade over next 24 hours as confidence increases. Severe thunderstorm warnings probable Thursday for Queensland and northern New South Wales, then Friday for southern New South Wales, ACT and Victoria. Monitor the Bureau S website and app for latest official warnings. Tomorrow S video will have overnight model runs processed, tropical low situation clearer and storm timing much more precise. I'll go through region by region updates with refined rainfall and wind speeds. If you've commented your location, I'll address as many as possible. The uncertainty throughout this forecast is honest acknowledgement that atmosphere is complex. Systems evolve. What looks certain today can change tomorrow. Daily updates during active weather are valuable for latest information. Quick recap. Southeast Australia, severe thunderstorms Thursday night and Friday, heaviest rain Queensland and northern New South Wales, strong winds with cold front. Western Australia, building heat peaking weekend, extreme fire danger, no rain. Northern Territory, rapidly developing tropical low, potential cyclone. Darwin and Top End monitor closely. Tomorrow, forecast drops, same time covering latest developments. Tropical low track and refined storm timing will be major focus. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe over the next few days. If you're in the path of these storms, take warning seriously. Chuck your location in comments and I'll see you tomorrow with